Page 12, Skyline of a large city. At the top of the page, they have that octave sign again. I've already talked about that before. This has the dash line that goes down at the end. I already explained that to you. If the octave sign appears above the staff, you go up. If the octave sign appears below the staff, you go down. That's it. And it's only for that staff, unless there's a note that tells you both hands or something. It's 2 pages long, treble and bass clef, 2 sharps in the key signature. We're in the key of D major. Make sure you do the D major scale. You've heard this lecture before. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. 4/4 time signature, and we have a pickup beat. We're coming in on beat 4. So the first 3 beats should be somewhere else, and they are. They're at the bottom of page 13, the last measure. Remember, a dotted half note's the same as 3/4 notes. Just memorize that. It doesn't matter what the time signature is. It's always the same as 3/4 notes. Take it one hand at a time because it's getting a little tricky here. We're moving around quite a bit. We have a lot of octave jumps in the right hand. Remember, an octave is like letter to letter. Let's go back to this. Letter to letter. A, that's an octave. Well, if I count these, in music, we don't start with 0. We start with 1. So if I count these, the one I'm on is 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why it's called an octave, because there's 8 notes involved. Now, right hand, you're starting here. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Then you lift, it's same notes, an octave higher, just come up. So you got to come up. You just lift up and move. There's no rest or anything. You just lift up and move. 4 and 1. And you get the same notes again, but it has the VA over it. That's an octave. You go up another octave. There. You're just going up. That's all it is. So again. 2 and 3. Yeah. Use the same fingering. It's good practice. 3 and. This gives us a chance to aim different fingers as we move, and that's good. I like that. Use that. And then going on is the second line, pick up to the last measure. It's here. Now you get it again, but now the notes are going down. Little finger. Now 4th finger. 4th finger. Again, we're aiming different fingers. That's good. Page 13. It's the last measure of the first line, just chords. You have it here, this chord, and then a C here. How you figure the chords is up to you. You can do this if you want, or you can do this. I like to stay out here, so I usually do that. That's all it is. And the rest of it's similar to what you already had. Now, last 2 measures at the bottom, it's here, and here, and now up here. You just move up and come up. Left hand, well, it's an A and a D and an A start, and that's tied, so you can hold that down for 7 counts, and then the next one, the D changes to C sharp. Remember, C sharp's in the key signature. You're holding that down forever. Then here, second line, last measure. It's here and then here. It's a C sharp, G, and an A. And then third line, second measure. Just come up a little bit. You can come up 2, 1, or I recommend, if you can, a 4, 1. Just come up here. You have a rest. You can come up 4, 1, because then 2 measures later, you got the C sharp here. Now, on the top of page 13, the pick up to the last measure, you're down here. You just lift up and move. Left hand got the melody. I can't believe it. Put the hands together. Well, fortunately, when you're moving around, one hand's staying put. See, so one hand's staying put, and you're just working the other hand. So you go through and put the hands together, then go back through the tough spot, places you're having problems with, and get rid of the hesitations. Go over and get rid of. You have to look down at the keyboard when you're moving around this much, but only look down long enough to move, and then get back up on the. Don't get where you're looking down and you're stuck and you can't look up. No, you look down long enough to move, and then back at the music. Then we think about the articulation, and this is pretty connected. It doesn't really give you much, but connect these. See that when they don't tell you anything, you can play them any way you want. Play them staccato. But I'm suggesting go ahead and connect them. Now on the second line, last measure, now they do tell you to connect them. But then in the third line, first measure, for the eighth note lift up, it's like it's a new phrase. So overall, this is pretty connected. And dynamics, well, it applies to the melody if you can figure out where the melody is. MP is mezzo piano. It's sort of soft. And you have the hairpin. Well, you don't know how much louder you get. I suggest you only go up to about a moderately loud. Just go up a little bit. So you're here, moderately soft, just a hair. That's moderately loud. And they don't say anything, but I should come back down to moderately soft because you're going to go up again. Each of these, you're going to go up. I don't know. I mean, that's not marked either. But the last measure, the first line, they got that hairpin again. I don't want to go up from loud. So I'm going to come back down to moderately soft and go back up again. Then second line, they don't give you anything. I don't know if that's an error or not, or what is going on, but it tells me I'm staying at moderately loud now. I don't get any other dynamics through the rest of the piece. That has to be an error. There's something wrong here. They're not going to give you all these dynamics in the first line or so, and then drop it, not say anything after that. So it's kind of, you can use the first line as a guide as to what's going on and kind of apply that as you're going through it. Maybe as you're doing these passages that are going up, you can gradually get louder as you're doing those. And then these passages that are going down, where the notes are going down, I don't know, maybe you want to get a little softer, or maybe you want to keep getting louder. You'll have to decide how you want to do that. The music doesn't say anything. That leaves it wide open to how you want to interpret it. Now, when you get like at the end of the second line here, remember the melodies in one hand and the other hand has to be in the background, wherever it is. Because at the top of page 13, at the end of the first line, it's the left hand that has that melody. So that has to be heard, and the right hand has to be in the background. So you experiment with the dynamics and see what you think. Don't play it all at one level. Speed, moderato is just whatever you think, somewhere in the middle. It has to be accurate. So what can you do here on these? How keep them accurate. Then they add pedal. Well, isn't this going to be fun? Okay, I'm going back to the lag pedal. Lag, that's where the hands do their thing first and then the pedal. So we do that like most of the time. So I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. I'm going to lift the pedal with the hands so there's a little silence. The idea? That's the pedaling throughout pretty much. Now, there's different ways of interpreting this, and keep in mind that the pedaling shown in the music is pretty much always a suggestion. Anything I tell you about pedaling is a suggestion. Anything your teacher tells you about pedaling, you do, while you study under them, and then it becomes a suggestion. Look on page 13, third line. We've had this passage where we've been pedaling, going up and down at the beginning of the line here. And then all of a sudden there's no pedal. I think that's an error. I think that should be pedaled the same as throughout. And I suggest you do. Just pedal those. This is page 13, the third line down. The last couple measures, pedal that. Just like you've done all the others. I wouldn't do that differently. However, keep in mind that when composers are writing their music and they have the same kind of passage that happens again and again, or whatever, it doesn't have to happen again and again, but it happens more than once. The last time it happens, they'll change something. They'll do it differently. And I don't know, maybe that's what she wanted here. Maybe that's what, since it's the last time you're doing this, then all of a sudden she left the pedal out. But in my opinion, that doesn't work very well. So I'm going to suggest you pedal those measures just like you pedal all the others. Now, something about pedaling also, we'll talk about it because there's a lot to explain. You see, when you use pedal, you use it for a specific reason or reasons, or don't use it. Know why you're doing it. Try and understand what's going on. Don't just blindly do it whenever they say to. Try and understand here. Here, we want the overtones that gives the effect. We want this effect. So we've added all those notes together to build up the Skyline thing. It's an effect. Well, if you look at the bottom of page 12 in the first measure, you're here. We're pedaling that note. Why are we pedaling that note? We're not going anywhere. It's just sitting there. Well, one of the reasons we pedal is for longer held notes. We like to give them overtones to give them a little color, a little musical sound color. Otherwise, they just sit there. They just sit there and die away. But if you can give them the overtones, it makes them a little more interesting. So a lot of times in piano, for the longer held notes, we'll pedal them just to give them color. Like at the end, bottom page 13, that last measure. The only reason to pedal it would be to give it color. Otherwise, you don't need to pedal that note. Yeah, you don't need to pedal it, but you can do that. Keep that in mind. Let's play this together slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any dynamics. We're just going to do both hands about the same. All we're doing is checking notes and rhythms here, although I will do the pedaling. So I'll give us 3 counts because we come in on beat 4. 1 and ready and go. And 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. And 2 and 3 and. And 2 and 3 and. And 2 and 3 and.